What's up guys, it's Robin and welcome to my channel. Today I have a very special cake to share with you guys. My grandfather just celebrated his 95th birthday a few days ago, and to make him something extra special, I decided to cake Archie his orange tabby cat, and he absolutely loved it. And another thing he absolutely loves is carrot cake. So today we're using 3 6-inch layers of my go-to carrot cake recipe by one of my favorite YouTube bakers, Rosanna Pansino, and I will share that recipe down below for anybody who's interested. Alright, so to start we added a little bit of buttercream to our cake board to attach that first layer of cake. Then we added a nice thin layer to the top of that first layer. Then we've created a bit of a barrier around the outside with our buttercream and a piping bag, and then we filled that up using some yummy cream cheese icing. Next, I gave my icing a quick once over to smooth it out, and then I applied that second layer of cake and gave it a good press down to smush out any air bubbles that might be in between. And now we're just going to repeat all those same steps on top of our second layer of cake before we add that final layer and give it a good press down. And be sure to create a nice thick barrier with your buttercream because you really don't want that softer cream cheese icing escaping through the sides. Alright, now we're just going to place that final layer and give it a smush, and now it is time for our crumb coat. Now with that same orange piping bag I used to apply our barrier layer before we added our filling, I'm just using the rest of that icing and we're just sort of putting it on in no particular fashion. You don't need a whole lot because we're going to spread this out really well and nice and thin with our offset spatula, and I'm just using a small one. You guys can use a larger one if you prefer, but my hands are little so I find the smaller one easier to use. And if you guys are interested in purchasing one of those for yourself, I will link that and loads of other great caking tools I use on the daily down in the description box below. But if there are any tools in this video that I have missed, please let me know and I will definitely point you guys in the right direction. Also, as a reminder, these are affiliate links, so I do not get paid if you click, only if you buy. And if you do buy, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. It really helps my channel grow. Alright, so we have finished that crumb coat, and I actually popped my cake into the fridge for about 10 or 15 minutes just to firm that first layer up, and now we are adding a thicker second layer of icing over the entire cake. And as you guys can see, once again I'm using my small offset spatula to apply my icing on there nice and thick, but to make things a little bit simpler and to get a nice even coat, I do recommend using a piping bag. It's a little bit quicker and a lot less messy. Alright, now that we have our cake fully covered, we need to get it smoothed out. So holding our bench scraper at a roughly 25 to 30 degree angle, we're using a nice, gentle, continuous stroking motion all the way around the cake until we are happy with how it looks. Now I'm using my bench scraper once again to gently scrape off that excess lip all around the top, wiping my bench scraper off in between each stroke, and that's a very important step, otherwise you're going to end up just putting more icing back onto your cake. Now we're going to get that off into the fridge to firm up and chill and start working on our decorations. So starting with the ears, I'm rolling out a lighter piece of orange fondant, and I've added a little bit of Tylose powder to this already to help it firm up and dry a little bit quicker. And now I'm taking my template and we're marking off the pattern for the inner part of the ear. And then I flipped over my template and I'm using that to create the mirror image for the second ear. Now I'm just taking my X-Acto knife and we're using that to ever so gently cut out the shapes that we need, and then we're just going to pull all those excess scraps away, and then we can start working on the outer portion of the ear. So for this part, I want an orange color, ever so slightly darker than the orange that we're using. So I'm taking a little bit of Wilton's orange and we're adding a little bit to our fondant. We're going to mix that up really, really well until we achieve the color of the orange that we need. Now that's not quite dark enough, so I'm going to add just a tiny little bit more, and I've also added a tiny little bit of brown to muddy that color up a little bit and make it not quite so bright, because Poppy's cat is actually more of a burnt orange color, so I'm going to try to get close to that. That looks pretty good. So now we're going to get this rolled out a bit on the thicker side because we want our ears to be nice and sturdy when they're fully dried. And I'm using my template to mark off the pattern once again, except this time we're following the outer line of the stencil to mark off the larger part of the ear. So now we're taking our X-Acto knife and very gently cutting out the shape, being careful not to distort the image. But these shapes are pretty simple, so it should be fairly easy. And once you've got both shapes cut out, we can just pull all those little scrap pieces away, and then we can start to assemble. Alright, so to get these to stand on our cake, they are going to need some support, and we also need a way to anchor them to the cake. So I'm attaching some small toothpicks inside each of our ears, and then we're just overlapping that smaller portion of ear on the top, pressing it down and securing it in between. Now I'm going to pop these off into my food dehydrator for about an hour, and that should give them plenty of time to firm up. Alright, now we're going to start working on the face, starting with the eyes. So I've taken a piece of black fondant and I'm rolling it out about as thin as I can possibly get it without it tearing. Then I've taken my stencil and I've marked off the shape of the eyes. Now I'm taking my X-Acto knife and we're cutting it out very carefully, and then we're just going to pull those scraps away. Now taking our next color, which is our sort of burnt orange color, I'm rolling that out basically the same as I did with the black, nice and thin, and I'm using that to mark off the iris of the eye, the colored portion of it. Now I'm taking my X-Acto knife and we're ever so carefully cutting out those little shapes. Then we're going to pull all those scraps away and assemble all the little pieces we've cut out so far. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever seen them before. Most orange tabby cats that I have seen personally have had either golden or green eyes, but my grandfather's cat has actual orange eyes. So he's an orange tabby with orange eyes, which in my opinion looks super cool and super unique. And I've seen a lot of orange tabbies before, but never orange eyes. So let me know what you guys think. Have you ever seen an orange tabby with orange eyes before? It has to be unique. Let me know what you think down below. Alright, so now that we have our iris into place, it's time to finish our pupils. Now, because we elevated the iris, I wanted to elevate the pupil just a little tiny bit as well. So I've cut out little teardrop shapes and I've stuck them into place. And now I rolled out a lighter piece of orange fondant, and we're going to cut out little orange strips to fit around the outside of each pupil, giving our eye a little bit more definition and depth. Now to finish them off, we're going to give them one last final touch, and I'm going to roll out a little piece of white fondant, and we're going to cut out those little white dots that go on the eye to give them a little bit of highlight. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but I actually made his eyes sort of pointing inwards, because once the cake is assembled, there's going to be a cute little surprise sitting on the end of his nose. I can't wait for you guys to see it. And now to finish off our decorations, we are going to make that cute little nose. So I rolled out a little piece of rose-colored fondant, and we're cutting out a tiny little triangle for the nose. So I'm just going to stick that out of the way, and now we're rolling a little piece of black fondant, and we're going to mark out the shape of the lips, and we're actually going to attach that directly to the nose, so it's a little bit easier to attach to the cake all in one piece. Okay, so with all of our decorations finished, it's time to start assembly. So we're going to stick those eyes into place first and make sure we get those nice and straight. And then we're going to stick that cute little nose right smack dab front and center right below the eyes. Now we're going to stick our ears into place. And I don't know if you guys noticed yet, but I stuck a little fly on the tip of his nose to bug him, because we all know how much cats absolutely hate bugs and flies, and they love to chase and kill them. So I thought that would be a cute little feature. Alright guys, this kitty cat is almost finished, but he would not be a tabby without his stripes. So we're going to paint some stripes on. So as you guys can see, I've started by piping a little bit of buttercream on in a darker orange color, and I'm using a paintbrush to sort of spread it around and thin it out and give it a bit of texture and make it look a little bit more like fur. And I've applied it to the cheeks and to the brow just above the eye, as well as the forehead, across the top of the head, and then down the back of the neck, all using that same technique to give the illusion of fur. Well, there you have it, guys. Wasn't this cat super simple and fun? Now, I absolutely love orange cats, but my all-time favorite is a tortoiseshell calico. What about you? What's your favorite kitty? Let me know down below. Well, that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, you know what to do. Hit that big thumbs up button and leave me lots of love in the comment section too. And if you haven't done so already and you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to receive a notification every time I post a new video. Thanks for watching.